This is not just a story about how Tyreque Rasean Morrison died. This is a story about what happened before, during, and after his death, and why his family is still demanding answers today. Because this case sits in that uncomfortable space where documented facts and a mother's unanswered questions collide, and both deserve to be heard. Tyreque Rasean Morrison, a 27-year-old man from Bowling Green, Kentucky, was shot and killed on September 13, 2025, in the area of Eastern Heights Subdivision and Holly Hills Apartments. That part is not disputed. Law enforcement confirms deputies responded to a shooting scene where approximately 70 rounds were fired, and Tyreque Morrison died from a gunshot wound to the head. Those are facts. Now here's what authorities say happened. According to the sheriff's office, there had been an ongoing dispute between Morrison and others in the area, and surveillance footage, as described by investigators, allegedly shows a verbal confrontation that escalated over time. Officials state that Morrison was armed with a rifle and fired shots during the incident. They further state that multiple individuals returned fire, resulting in dozens of rounds being discharged, and that one of those rounds struck Morrison, killing him. 2 individuals were later identified in connection with the case, and they were charged with tampering with physical evidence, not homicide. A grand jury reviewed the case and did not issue murder charges, citing insufficient evidence under Kentucky law. Those are the official findings as reported. Now, let's sit in that for a moment, because that is where the official version stops and where a mother's questions begin. According to Tyreek's mother, the scene itself raises immediate concerns. She says the location was not secured for approximately 28 minutes after deputies arrived, and during that time, people were walking and driving through the area. If accurate, that introduces a critical question. Was evidence preserved the way it should have been? She also points to timing. She states that key details about what happened at the scene did not become public until 5 months later during internal proceedings tied to a deputy. That delay matters to her because when information comes out late, trust is impacted. Then there is the video. Law enforcement has described footage that supports their version of events, including claims about Morrison's behavior and actions. But his mother asks a different question. Where is the full footage? Are there additional camera angles? And what do those show before the escalation? Because partial footage can explain a moment, but not always the full story. Now let's go back to the physical evidence, because this is where both sides intersect. Roughly 70 shell casings were recovered. That is confirmed. His mother emphasizes that the majority of those casings were not tied to her son. Law enforcement states multiple individuals fired weapons. Both of those statements can exist at the same time, and together they raise a key question: how many people were involved, and was every action fully accounted for? She also raises concerns about witnesses. She says names and contact information were provided to investigators, but those individuals were not followed up with. At the same time, law enforcement maintains the case was investigated and presented to a grand jury. That creates a gap, not necessarily in fact, but in perception, and perception matters when families are searching for trust in the process. Then there are the individuals connected to the incident. Authorities confirm suspects were identified and that some individuals left the scene and were later located. Charges were filed, but again, not for homicide. That decision rests with the legal standard required to prove criminal liability. But for the family, the question remains, does legal sufficiency equal full accountability? And beyond the investigation itself, there is the human side. Tyreek's mother says she was denied opportunities to speak publicly through local media. She says decisions in court did not reflect the danger her grandchildren were in, even after gunfire entered their home. She says she did not identify her son herself and instead received that information in a way no parent ever should. Those are her lived experiences, and they matter regardless of where the legal case stands. So now we are left here with two things that are both real An official investigation that concluded there was not enough evidence for homicide charges, and a mother who says the process, the handling, and the truth still do not make sense. This is not about choosing sides. This is about laying everything on the table, the confirmed facts, the documented findings, and the unanswered questions. Because when a life is taken in a scene involving dozens of rounds, multiple individuals, and a rapidly evolving situation, clarity matters, transparency matters, and accountability matters. And at the center of all of this is still one name, Tyreque Rasean Morrison. A life lost, a family still searching, and a case that for them is not over. If you know something, saw something, or have information that has not been brought forward, now is the time to speak. Because the truth should never be out of reach, and this family is still reaching for it. Truth Gang, activate.